there, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I saw the PTO sign. I said, Ricky must be up there with a grandbaby.
Oh, with one of the moms. He good then?
Yeah, all we're going to do is just table it and check the survey, check the survey.
All right, ready? We'll call the August 12th recess meeting to August 15th recess meeting to order. Let the record show that all the aldermen are present and accounted for. At this time, you please stand. Stephen Glorioso is going to lead us in the invocation, and Alderman Cox in the pledge.
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of Ocean Springs. In Christ's name we pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight we have two presentations. The first presentation is, I need a motion to accept the agenda. Second by Mr. Cox. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We have two presentations this evening. The first one is about the City of Ocean Springs library update. Ms. Parton's here to give us that update.
Is already on?
Yeah.
Good evening. Again, I am Yvonne Parton. I'm the branch manager at the Ocean Springs Library. And I'm here, first of all, to say thank you to the City of Ocean Springs, and in particular the aldermen, for all the ways that the city has supported the library during our renovation and also in our closure. So thankful for so many things. Being able to store all of our precious books over at the Ryan Center, help in regard to maintenance once we started moving things back and starting to open up. I just can't, express how grateful we are for your support. So I would like to also take just a minute or two to talk about our presence at the Mary C. I want to thank you as well for that, allowing us to open a temporary location while we were at the Mary C. If you'll direct your attention to the PowerPoint on the screen, you can see that we had over almost 700 patrons that visited us during the period that we were there. And we were there in the month of December, and then also from February through the end of June. 153 of those people were new people that were new to the city and came in and got library cards. And then 553 of our current patrons just visited us there and checked things out. You can also see the number of items that we checked out during that period. That's pretty impressive, actually. And then our foot traffic included patrons and visitors at the Mary C. that walked in our doors. So we were counting everybody because we thought it would be important information that you might want to know or see and know that there were a lot of people visiting the library, but there were a lot of people visiting the Mary C. And we were happy to help them and talk with them, etc. We did 139 programs during that period. Now, some of that was in-house, quite a bit of it, about half was in-house. And then we also did a bunch of outreach to our our preschool patrons. And there were over almost 3,500 students and patrons, etc., that attended those programs. So we were very busy during that period. And I think that reflects just how important your library is to the community. So Raven, if you'll step back, I just have a few more things I'd like to talk about. So we had our soft opening yesterday. Many of you visited, and if you haven't, I hope you'll come by and take a look. We had We checked out over 368 items. We had 67 people check out, but that does not include the foot traffic. We counted about 160 people that walked through. They were very curious to see all the changes and to see why we were closed for that period of time. And so what are patrons saying about all of the new renovations? They're loving it. They love the openness, the brightness, they love the lights, they love all of the new features and the way that we have situated our collections. They just can't say enough. They're very excited as we are. Just a reminder to some people that are in the audience, and of course you as well, we hope you'll stop by tomorrow. Tomorrow is our Bob the Dinosaur Parade. We're bringing Bob back. If you're not familiar, Bob is a big, huge fiberglass dinosaur, and he's lived in our libraries since 1988. So he's been in St. Martin for a while, and he'll come back tomorrow. We're going to have a little parade and some cake, etc. Our ribbon cutting with the county and, of course, the city and library itself will be on September 6th at 11 a.m. We hope you'll visit then. And then I do want to mention that beginning in September, we'll have some new hours. We will be open at that point from 9 in the morning to 6:30 in the evening, and then 9 to 4 on Friday and Saturday. Any questions or thoughts? All right. Thank you again. We couldn't have done all these things for our community without your help. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warren.
Next presentation is the Ocean Springs School District 2023-2024 ad valorem request.
Mayor, we don't necessarily, in board, we don't necessarily have a presentation, but as you know, we've submitted our budget to the board and our ad valorem request. There has been no increase in the millage rates this year. They're remaining consistent from previous years. And as always, we appreciate the partnership between the school and the city to continue to keep Ocean Springs one of the best school districts, not only in our state, but in the nation. And if you guys have any questions about the budget, we'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
I would think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you much.
We have a public hearing.
We need a
You
motion.
need a motion to accept that? Okay. Is there a motion to accept the ad valorem request from the school district?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Impey, second by Mr. Aldermen. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public hearings. There's a request approval of the preliminary plat for an 80-lot subdivision in the R1 low-density residential district using the density bonus regulations at 4414 Henshaw Road, PID number 6012607.000. Applicant Elliott Land Development, LLC. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Blackman, seconded by Mr. Wade. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Carolyn?
This was on the June Planning Commission meeting, and they did vote to approve it, but there were some minor corrections or some additional information. So now that that has been received, it's here before you all, and we'll let Wade give a little more information on it, so I don't start coughing at you. So,
Yeah, pull that up on the screen. Thanks, sorry. So it says this is,
Wade, check that mic.
that push on the bottom.
I'll stop. Okay. You can see from the graphic on the screen, this is the former Midtrip property on the east side of Hanshaw Road. Davis Bayou forms a good bit of the boundary of this property and will be in some ways incorporated into this for their open space and other recreation things. Also, a lot of the area adjacent to Davis Bayou is wetlands and will be set aside as part of this development. The specific proposal on this one is for an 80-lot subdivision for single-family detached houses on public streets that'll loop around and intersect Hanshaw Road in 2 locations. This is the, Elliott Land Development is the developer of this, and this stage, the preliminary plat, is the basically the final public approval of the plan, because it does provide plans for the construction of the subdivision. In this specific situation with this subdivision, there are a couple of things I just wanted to point out to you that are kind of unique with this one. One is that the plans call for the sanitary sewer force main to be connected to the underside of the Hanshaw Road Bridge. Now, per the county's plans, that bridge is to be replaced sometime in fiscal year 2025. So there will need to be some coordination between City of Ocean Springs, our Public Works Department, County Engineering Department regarding the design plans and the actual commencement of construction on that. So we'll be working on that aspect of it. Also, as part of that, there'll be some necessity for the reinstallation of the force main associated with the construction of that. That's the reason that the Planning Commission recommended approval of basically a bond from the developer to estimate the cost of replacing or reinstalling this force main as part of the bridge construction. That will have to be put into effect, like I say, if the purpose of that is to protect the city so that cost of that installation is not put on the City of Ocean Springs at that time. Basically, it all depends on the timing of the various construction of the bridge and the subdivision. But with that, this went to the Planning Commission at its June meeting, and they are recommending approval of the preliminary plat. And approval sums it up, and I'd be glad to answer questions. I know Bobby Donovan is here also, as is Bobby Heinrich, the designer of it. So.
Okay, thank you, Wade. Does anybody have any questions for Wade or Donovan, Bobby?
He's going to give a presentation too.
Good evening. My name is Donovan Scruss, 317 Pine Drive here in Ocean Springs. I'm helping the Elliott Home development crew with this development. As you know, this project's been ongoing for basically a little bit more than a year, I guess. And we've got approval last year for a sketch plat. Part of that sketch plat approval, of course, included a traffic study that was funded by Elliott Homes at the request of the Planning Commission, his body. And essentially that traffic study demonstrated there was going to be no significant impact associated with the homes. So with that, this body allows us to go forward. We've put together preliminary plans, construction details, had those plans submitted to DEQ and other state agencies, and they've been approved. So basically, the construction plans are ready to go, and we're ready to go. Now, as Wade indicated, part of the Planning Commission conversation was about the developer is going to extend a force main from his site all the way down to Spanish Trail, a little bit less than a mile, I assume. And with that, it's going to be attached to the bridge there at Hanshaw that is scheduled for replacement in the summer of 2026. Now, we plan to have this development constructed by summer of 2024. And with that, we hope to have a good portion of the houses constructed by 2025 and, of course, 2026. All that said is that we really think it's a big ask to tell the developer that he may have to replace this pipe that's been in service now for approximately 2 years on a bridge that's being replaced by the county for the city. Now, I did have a lot of conversations today with Jackson County, and I've got a letter to more or less indicate to support this. But, you can hear me. Basically, the county is indicating that if the services are existing and do not have to be upgraded, meaning that the services are in place. They will pull the services off the bridge, suspend it, or temporarily, attach it to something, pilot or what have you, and then allow it to sit there while the bridge is being replaced. And then part of the bid package will include reinstalling this pipe to the bridge. So according to this thing from Mr. Bosarge, and who had a conversation with Joe O'Neill, there will be no cost to the city to reattach these services. So, I can give you a cost estimate then that it would be zero, and I can bond zero, but I don't know how we can estimate what this cost would be when the county is saying that they will do it as part of the bid package with no cost to the city or the developer. So we would like that item removed from the contingencies because we just don't think it's necessary, and it's hard to bond a cost of something that basically we don't anticipate being there. Why tie up somebody's money or credit for 2 or 3 years when we don't? It's not going to. It will more than likely not happen. Like I said, I've got a letter from Randy Bosarge, who was in conversation with Joe O'Neill today regarding this matter, and he got forwarded it to Wade, a couple of y'all maybe.
Okay. Anybody, any questions?
So that's usually the way I've seen business done with the county is if the service is existing, they come in later to replace a bridge or roadway. They put it back, whatever's in place. I don't see how we could force them to build this utility twice.
At the time of the planning commission, we had not been able to, we hadn't really gotten that clarification from the county, so it was very unclear, the sequence of events, so we just wanted something in place. With this new information, our understanding or agreement was more with the county.
Okay.
And that might be where that conversation needs to have. But back in June, we didn't have that clarification.
So you understand exactly what he's requesting.
We just got that today from Donovan, so go back in the same new good condition there with him.
That's all well and good, but in my opinion, a letter from one member of a 5-member board doesn't constitute an understanding. That's one member's opinion it takes 3
and
out
that's
of 5
where
on a vote.
having a resolution or something more in writing from the county prior to construction would probably be our recommendation in that case. Serve the same purpose as the letter of credit or the bond, but it's our agreement with the county.
Right, and Mr. Impey, Randy is not saying that he's the board supervisor's position. His indication is that Joe O'Neill, who is the supervisor, who is the road manager, who will be putting out the bid package as the person in charge of it. This is their typical procedures, and they will replace it if it's on there. And if it's not on there, then of course, and when we had this conversation back with the planning commission, we were talking about, and I think even your letter today indicates that the bridge will be replaced in 2025, which is a lot closer to the ending period of the subdivision. Now we found out that it is in fiscal year 2025, and they will not touch it until the summer of 2026, which is the end of fiscal year 2025. So really, we're a lot further out, and we're talking about having a subdivision that's approximately potentially built out, and then saying, oh, by the way, the developer has to come back and be responsible for these improvements that the city has already taken ownership of. So,
Do we move forward with this approval, or do we need to reword our?
I think you can. I think we also recommend. I guess the recommendation shifts to, instead of having something in writing with the developer, we need to have something in writing with the county, since we don't know how those timelines are going to match up.
And if the county, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that way we do have some, as we get closer to that time, we'll know better how those timelines can be coordinated, but we'll have something in writing that says that they're aware that the utilities are going to be new, and we want them to stay new.
And if the county says they will not do it, then of course we will, have to
be contingent upon that.
The putting up a temporary measure to handle the lights at that place. we were talking a lot about the replacement of these lines. It's like putting in brand new lines over lines to replace lines that were put in just, this year. We've seen a lot. We're talking about $100,000 in improvements potentially. That's a lot to ask from a developer who is, going out and doing things. If we're just talking about chip roads and spending them, that's a little bit different, and we think that can be managed.
This also is driven from if the line will remain itself, if the bridge is going to get wider. So if there has to be additional fittings added to the sports main, that's extra cost. It's bypass, which costs money. So that's where this is driven from too, because this is technically going to be a city location on a county bridge.
So we need to have that in writing with the
So
county.
the county puts in, and I know Joe
Normally
is
they-
the supervisor, but
normally they cover that.
2026, he may retire. soon.
Donovan, can you come back with Carolyn and planning and lay this thing out step by step on a piece of paper, telling us exactly what you plan to do? And you made a comment there in case the county doesn't do it, what you will do.
Yeah,
This is a general conversation. I'd like to see something specific on a piece of paper, you and the developer. And we'll work with you
In the
on it,
county.
but it needs to be spelled out and brought to Carolyn.
would you consider, making the approval, approve this preliminary plat so we can move forward, and then within 30 days, we either have this worked out with the county, or we provide you a letter indicating the way we will handle it? That way, we're able to move forward and have this thing in pretty
That way
quickly. But I think, we can have this too. I got this today, so there's no way.
Can you write that motion out?
More than a couple of weeks.
Counselor, what do you
Yeah.
think?
That's still, there's too many unknowns there. We'll work it out. I can't approve that.
I'd like to see it in black and white on a piece of paper specifically.
And at this point, the only thing that we have to hold up is issuance of construction permits. I mean, that could be the contingency, because after preliminary plat's approved, they go through the, construction review.
Can you approve it with the agreement of a bond or county approval?
We'd have to get something in writing that passes legal, that would address all three parties, I believe, because of the unknowns. Like I said, there's a lot of what ifs. So it's just a matter of, do you want to approve it contingent upon that? And then as soon as legal says it's fine, then they can proceed, or do you want to have them come back?
This is gonna have to go on the county's, agenda and pass,
Yeah.
so that's gonna push back a couple
Well, if you
weeks.
approve it with a bond or county, then you know you're guaranteed a bond.
Can at least get that in place and then.
Either or.
Yeah.
Mr. Wilkinson still has it.
I just, what amount of bond? To me, there's too many unknowns right now.
We don't know how to base the
If
value.
you want to make it subject to approval by legal counsel, but right now, when we enter into it's basically a contract, we won't be able to come back in the future if the county doesn't place it there. We don't have the ability to come back to the developer and say, pay for it, absent an agreement that says if the county doesn't pay for it, they pay for it.
Well,
Exactly.
what I'm looking at from the recommendation from the city planner today is that, go ahead and approve it, and then come up with an estimate, and we'll do a bond according to that estimate. So even the recommendation for planning was not emphatic. And in fact, I downloaded the agenda today, and I didn't realize this item was going to be on there. No, we talked about it, but I didn't see it on there. It was part of the list of items that was needed over the past couple of months from planning. So, I agree. I mean, if we're going to do this, we should have been required to do this estimate, tell you that number before this meeting. So, once again, we made this application back in March, and we've had to go through and get all these DEQ approval and everything else before we could even come here. So, I mean, we've been at this for quite some time, and we would like to move forward and get something going. We'll be happy to work this out, but from what I'm hearing and from what Joe O'Neill said, and is that there's not going to be any cost, that they're going to reattach it for the city. So our cost is zero, and the city's cost should be zero.
I think the point being made here is that Joe O'Neill says something and Randy Bosarge says something, but until it's in their minutes, we have no guarantee. That's the problem.
And to Sarah's point, if the bridge is going to be widened, then there is potential for additional costs. And that's a question mark. So we need to kind of hash that out. At least have an estimate in regards to that scenario with the approval of the county.
Then it goes back to, if it does cost, should that be the developer's responsibility? And the fact that he has constructed a subdivision, dedicated lines to, has built potentially 80 new houses that are paying taxes. And, he's installing a force main from his place all the way down to Spanish Trail because the city has said there's not capacity to hook into the line right across the street from it. So, we're doing a lot of investment in this property to take care of our sewer, and then we're told in maybe 2 or 3 years or 4 years or whenever the county decides to fix this road that y'all are going to have to put this pipe back in. And then that's asking a whole lot from a developer who's investing a lot of money in the city. That site's been here forever. It's been a house on that forever, and the city has not connected it to water and sewer services or sewer services. So I think that if we do what we're thinking of doing with the improvements we're planning to do to get it to Spanish Trail, I don't know that even if there is a replacement cost associated with this, that it should be the burden of the developer.
The reason it came up to why the developer would put a bond up is this is in lieu of the developer boring under the water. They could bore and it'll be no problem at all.
Yeah.
But to save cost, we entertained letting them approach the county, and this was in the discussion. Because we knew the bridge was going to be replaced. So that's why it's about, I get your point, but they could bore under the bayou and be clear, free, don't have to worry about any additional cost.
So we're talking about a potential scenario. It's not,
And
set
the
in stone.
timeline is not clear because that's what they're saying now, but we really don't know. So I guess there's a lot of moving parts and just, we always like to be able to make the recommendation to have at least some legal recourse in place since there are some unknowns, and the shape of that could take different forms depending on what's coming first. If the county bumps that project up and it's happening at the same time, that's a different scenario with maybe different costs. There's a lot of unknowns, so
the first point of order would be to get some sort of language documentation from the county. And then the contingency plan would be to have something from the developer in lieu of that potential scenario which we discussed.
One or the other in place to make sure they're
correct.
Okay. Any final thoughts, Donovan? Because we can beat this thing to death going back and forth here.
I'm third.
Okay.
The only thing I want to say, Mayor, is even what the planning commission was recommending was to move forward with the bond. And there is no bond amount on what they were recommending because they haven't had time to get the estimates to have that. So if it was good then that we were bringing to the meeting, why wouldn't it be good to approve that with the bond and the county's approval and/or? I don't.
Yeah, a lot of times you can go and approve it, like for instance, we have another development that they put a bond up at the end of the project for asphalt because it was questionable. It's going to last another year. So I don't think the amount matters until we're putting it in, really. Because we still have leverage on occupancy, we still have leverage on approval of utilities. We're going to own this.
So if we just say we approve it with a bond or the county's approval, I don't see a reason in pushing this out any further. Why is that not sound? And then it's got to go before the county. They can either approve it or disapprove. If they disapprove, then the bond covers. So we're fixing to make it go on for a lot longer if we don't.
But I want to also add this to it. This is, planning commission preliminary plats are approved all the time with contingencies. We've got to come back and do construction and then actually have final inspection and final plat approval. So y'all got another chance to put us in the bucket and do whatever you want to us. We're going to be here for at least another 8 year or 18 months. So if by that time we'll know something, and before you accept final plat dedication, you can have it bonded. You can do anything you want to us, and we'll have to do whatever y'all tell us to do. So So, I mean, I don't
think
think
that'd keep us
having
from
that
being
money
frozen.
issue right now even matters because it's a final plat issue, in my opinion. In my opinion.
Documenting in your motion that we're gonna pursue either or and contingent upon legal
That's
approval.
Robert,
I can live with that.
what is the recommendation from you guys? Y'all live with that? Sarah?
With that,
The recommendation is to approve with the contingency of a bond or county approval for any future costs with the fourth main operation.
pending legal confirmed.
we got
Okay, is, y'all good? Okay. Is there, okay. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak for or against the approval of preliminary plat? Please step forward, state your name.
Are you taking this for first?
It doesn't matter, we're gonna let you speak. Just get,
My name is John Rivera. I live on Dijon Avenue, 3227 in Bienville Place. I've looked at their plans quite extensively, and they were good plans. The 80 house setup they have, I think is pretty good. My concern you've already addressed about the utility hookups. One thing that I think that the homes ought to get all their money back on is that traffic study. I believe it fully is dead wrong. The reason why it's dead wrong, they have a second and a half or a minute and a half delay going to be caused to the existing traffic. They estimate that on 1 to 2 vehicles per house of that 80. How about 3 to 5 vehicles per house in that 80 unit to be built? That's going to put a lot of pressure on Henshaw Road. You guys need to think about what you're going to do with Henshaw Road, besides widening it, besides putting turn lanes in. That is going to be a major highway out of the city during a hurricane. And adding more flow to it is going to cause serious problems. Thank you.
thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Gail Bishop, and I'm a community scientist, and I go to the Fontainebleau Trail almost weekly to look at the plants and animals. One of the nice things that I have is when I go there, I meet other people from other states that go there to look and to enjoy that National Wildlife Refuge. It was set aside to help with the Sandhill Crane Refuge. It's a satellite area. My concern is when you look out across the bayou is seeing houses. I was a national park superintendent at Little River Canyon in northern Alabama, and you could look across this beautiful canyon and you could see houses. I don't know if you've been to the Grand Canyon. You don't want to go to a national park and see development. So I hope that when this development, of course I haven't seen what the plans are, but I hope that the developer would think about the future and think about, okay, well, I know that 95% of the land in the United States has been changed, and I hope the developer will think about what plants that they're going to put in there. Will they be native or are they going to be non-native? And about 80% of the plants that are put in residential areas are not native. I just bring this up. This is an opportunity to speak to you all and just keep it in your head that we do need to protect our wild areas, and that location is right across that bayou at the Fontainebleau area, which is next to the middle school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor and Aldermen. I'm Janelle Blom, 4005 Belterra Court, Ocean Springs. We get a little bit off track from what I planned to say. I was here at the Planning Commission meeting, and there was a representation that the sewer main line y'all have been discussing was going to be at the developer's expense, period. That was it. That's what was approved at the Planning Commission. That's what the recommendation was based on. And I find it really disheartening and causes me a lot of distrust with the developer to come in tonight and say, oh, no, that's not fair to require us to do this. It absolutely is fair, and it was their representation, and now they're going back on it. And I would ask you to please have everything nailed down before, yes, you have to do final plat approval, but it's all done at that point. You wait till then, it's too late, with all due respect. Okay, now I'll get back to what I plan to say. I'm here both individually and on behalf of the Bienville Place Homeowners Association. I stood before y'all last time when you had this meeting last year and told you about several traffic instances that I saw firsthand, some with my children, some with a motorcyclist that my kids had to see laying on the pavement, some of us getting real close to getting hit because of the traffic. And not just the traffic, but people doing stupid things. Well, people are going to do stupid things no matter what, so that has to be accounted for also. I'm not going to belabor those again today, but I would ask you to please fix the problems that are at hand before adding to them. There was mention about the traffic study, and perhaps a refund should be in order. I wholeheartedly agree with that. One day, I think it was a Tuesday, they studied traffic for one day, or at least that's all they reported on. Maybe the other days were higher traffic and they didn't want to use them, but the report was based on one day. The study also states Hanshaw is a north-south 2-lane road with sidewalks and open shoulders on both sides. There is one section, a very small section, 2 back-to-back houses worth of sidewalk on the west side of Hanshaw. The entire rest of Hanshaw, no sidewalk. So they've got their facts wrong, for one thing. If that's wrong, I'm no engineer to study it, but if that simple fact's wrong, what else is wrong? They also show, well, I gave a MDOT traffic study at the Planning Commission meeting, so I hope it's in your record today. That traffic study shows 9,700 cars per day on Hanshaw. If you look at figure 3 on the Pickering traffic study, it shows 5,425 cars during peak hours only, and that's for traffic without the subdivision. That's current. Then if you look at figure 4, it shows what the traffic will be when adding 395 cars during peak hours again. And then it shows the total counts is 5,758. Those numbers don't match. Again, are you going to rely on a report that's factually wrong, that the math is wrong, and was done for one day? We deserve better than that. You were right that we needed a traffic study, so let's get a good one. I bring your attention back to the MDOT traffic counts. To put things in perspective, Highway 609 near Highway 90, so Washington and Highway 90, their daily traffic counts are 33,000 a day. So basically 3 times what the Hanshaw traffic counts are at that major thoroughfare, major intersection. We've got a little 2-lane road with residences coming out with a middle school down there with kids walking and riding bikes, and we have a third of the traffic on that already as exists. Actually, that was 2 years ago, so it's probably even higher because of all the new development that's come in the last 2 years. And speaking of growth, I know a lot of it's in the county, but where's all that county traffic go? It goes on Hanshaw, it goes on Highway 57, or it goes out Old Spanish Trail up by Rouse's. And do you know how many? If you add those 3 together, we're at 30,000. Same amount of traffic as 90 and Washington Avenue. There is a lot of traffic out there. They're going to have to get out somewhere. And even though they may be a lot of county folks that are traveling that road, it's your road. It's your responsibility. Our ordinances are, my husband, yield his time to me.
Mike Blum, 4005 Belterra, give my time to my wife.
Okay. Why don't you come on up, Mike? I think we got your point, Janelle. I think we got your point. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak for or against?
I wasn't scheduled to be here on this issue, but I'm glad I am here because I have some serious.
State your name, please.
Oh,
for the record.
I thought all of y'all know.
We do.
Okay, I'm James Lewis. I live at 805 Canebrake Drive, Canebrake subdivision. One of the key concerns that I have as I sit down to listen is that this is right down from the middle school. It's a booger bear in the morning. It's a booger bear in the afternoon on that two-lane road as far as traffic is concerned. One of my main concerns is that when that sewer line got broke, sewage was backing up in my house, in every house in Canebrake subdivision. And that's not a good sign. All of a sudden your toilet started boiling. And you trying to figure out what in the hotel is going on. And I don't think anybody will be up trying to get a shop vac to go back in and get sewage, raw sewage that's coming back through your line, and you spent $300,000-400,000 for a house. That don't track for me. You talked about the sewage line there and what's going to be replaced or what's going to happen to it, or is the money going to be allowed for it. Somebody's missed the boat on this one. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Anyone else?
Can I speak if I didn't address the planning commission?
Yes, ma'am, you can speak.
My name is Marion Andrews, and I don't live in this city. I live in Gulf Hills at 13912 West Alpinito. Elliott Homes is building subdivisions in my neighborhood, and they've been doing that for 2 years. And really there was no problem until this year when they started building a settling pond and constructing homes on one particular hole on the golf course. When they initially started
Ma'am, hold on one second.
building those.
Can I say something?
Yes.
The public hearing is about this one particular development.
Yes.
Not the developer
I'll just
itself.
cut it short on that. They didn't control their runoff. All the construction and dirt went down the hill and it goes right into the bayou. And it still does that. And they have very poor construction in my neighborhood.
That probably should be taken up with the county since that's in the county.
No, I'm not trying to remedy that. I'm just
I understand,
a
but
cautionary tale.
okay.
That they have a history of not observing proper construction.
We'll take that under advisement. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak for or against? Okay, is there a motion to close the public hearing? Motion by Mr. Wade, second by Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve or deny based on the addition of?
I do have one more question, Mayor, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Carolyn, I never did get to see the MDOT study.
I'll have to.
It sounds like we have conflicting studies. So
Yeah, I don't know, Wade, do you have any thoughts on it?
Not for me, but with the NDOT study, I know as part of one of the requirements of the sketch plan was for the developer to prepare a traffic study. They had the Pickering firm do a traffic study of this proposed development. And looking at I think that was the one that was referred to earlier, and it was also reviewed by our city engineer, who concluded that their conclusions were correct with some small provisions. But generally, the conclusion of the Pickering firm traffic study was done by professional engineers who, are not looking at it just for the developer's perspective, but they concluded that the proposed development will not have a significant impact on the existing street system, that they will continue to operate at level of service C or better, which is an acceptable level of traffic flow, and that the amount of traffic did not rise to the level of needing a traffic signal during the 22H2 nor the development proposal of this development.
How
They
many
did make
days?
recommendations about some widening of sidewalks, providing sidewalks and things along the street frontage, which the developer has done. He's proposed a 10-foot wide sidewalk along Hanshaw and also within the narrow ones within the subdivision. So they are doing what the traffic study and the city engineer recommended.
How many days was the traffic study?
That I don't know. That's not in here.
So you don't have any information on the MDOT study?
No.
I'm not familiar with this study. We do go to GRPC's website from time to time and get their latest counts.
Right.
That's not a study, it's
Right.
just a count. So we'd have to look into see over what period of time and how they came up with that. Usually that's a 1 day.
I have to say, because I was surprised it wasn't recommended there was some breakdown turning lanes. That's surprising.
And that was one of the things that the planning commission wanted them to look at. Is there a need for acceleration, deceleration, turnout lanes? That time they concluded there was not.
Okay.
May I speak to that?
You can, I tell you what, if you want to put that, in the record,
I did put it in the record at the planning commission. So if y'all don't have a copy, you don't have the whole record.
well, we'll get it.
Planning commission.
We'll get it then.
Before
If
you make a decision?
Well, this is preliminary plat. It's really not a decision.
There's a lot of letters from neighbors that were in the record. Do you have those?
We got the letters,
We have the letters.
but we
Yes,
didn't
we
have
did.
a MDOT study. That's why I was asking for it. He said to put it in a minute.
In between assistants at that point.
Okay, so we have a,
Well, it just sounds like the numbers are way off. So.
Yeah, to me, there's too much questions about the traffic study and too many ifs, buts, maybes on Bond or county or whoever.
okay, so we had a motion by Mr. Wade, a second by Mr. Blackman. Is there any more questions, comments, discussion?
A motion for the.
No, we closed.
To close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, is there a motion to approve or deny?
I think we're gonna have to wait for this information to come out. I would like to have time to look at that MDOT study.
I agree totally, and I want to see something right.
Okay.
I make a motion that we deny it at this time pending a proper look at the highway department.
Well, we can table it. You want to table it?
Till we get the information.
Second.
Got a motion to table by Mr. Impey, a second by Mr. Wade.
Opinion.
Papania, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, motion's tabled. Okay, moving on to agenda public comment. The public is invited to address the board of up to 3 minutes each, only regarding issues listed on this agenda. Please begin by identifying yourself and the agenda item you're speaking to. If no agenda item is stated, you will be asked to hold your comment until a general public comment at the end of the meeting. Anybody have any comments about an agenda item? Okay.
Mayor, would you be more specific?
Yes, sir. Anything on the agenda that you'd like to comment about? If it's just a general comment, we'll have another public comment section after, at the end of the meeting.
Pass it. I didn't hear my head.
Is 9C considered a part of that?
Yes.
Nine.
Nine.
Department reports, right?
That's department reports.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, that's part of it. That tree removal appeal. Yes, sir.
My name is Pamela Dorner Green. I live at 3002 Government Street. I am appealing the tree removal that's in my backyard because the tree in my front yard, the roots grew so big that I had to get it cut down. In the back, where my sewer line is, my sewer is starting to act up. So I had 811 come out and mark where my sewer line is and where the tree is. So I'm appealing the decision to cut that tree down because it's gonna cause me problems in the long run. Right now, I'm already starting to have some problems, so I just want to have it removed before it costs me more.
All right. That's fine. We'll take that under advisement. We're going to be discussing that in open, so we'll probably have another, you may be asked some more questions about that when we get to it. Anybody else have anything they want to address on the? If it's on the agenda, if anything that's on the agenda, you can comment about.
7A was voided.
7A is not, it's voided, so it's not on the agenda for the night.
Take one and pass it down, I guess.
Okay, we're moving on to old business. Adopt an ordinance to vacate undeveloped right-of-way in Pecan Grove subdivision labeled as Heat Rehage. Planning Commission confirmed interested parties. Kevin, you want to?
We'd like to table it.
Okay.
And, till we get a survey done.
Okay. So, we need a motion to table that, Robert? Or just
Certainly,
I was gonna say, direct, I guess we'll have the engineer have environmental, somebody do a survey.
Yeah.
I think we have. I think that one of the interested parties has a survey that we.
Well, they have a boundary survey. What we're discussing is knowing exactly how much room that we would need in that right of way for the utilities and pedestrian access. So that's the conversation that we had is maybe getting that surveyed and, doing a partial vacate. So we would need a measurement from that survey. Shouldn't be too much.
So who's gonna bear the cost of the city shouldn't? The city's not requesting the big, we shouldn't bear the cost of that.
Well, I thought maybe it might be in the past documents of.
We can
We've
look
always
at
had
the
it.
survey that we have and see
Yeah.
if we can glean what we need to from that. And if not, we might have to have engineers look at it and.
I mean, it should be on record previous.
But that was the thing, to determine, do we need the entire area for the areas of concern, which is a water line, we believe there's a center point gas line, and then also just pedestrian access. And we maybe don't need the whole thing. So table it to look into that possibility.
Okay.
All right. Make some second, I guess.
Motion by Mr. Wade, second by Mr. Cox. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item B and C, I believe those need to be tabled also for further discussion by the.
I make a motion, we table item B and C of old business.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Cox to table item B. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lapanya. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll have to start raising hands down there.
Motion to table item C.
Motion to table item C by Mr. Cox.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wade. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 7A was void. Under new business, and next item is medical insurance renewal. Mr. Lockhart is here to go over that with us.
Finally.
She's passing those out. I'm John Locker. It is the time for your renewal for mayor and aldermen. This is usually the time of year that I have to wear a bulletproof vest and breathe very cautiously. But this year, I think we've got some good news for the board and the employees of the city. we're gonna look at a rate reduction. When we first started this, United Healthcare, you've had a good year. You can see on the first page of the handout, the indented part talks about your current year loss ratio. This year, you've had one of the better years you've ever had, 62.2% loss ratio. Last year was a 95.4, 86.6 the year before, and 74.5% the year before. So this is the first year.
Can I stop you just 1 second?
Yes, sir.
Didn't you just say rate reduction?
Yes.
That's what I thought you heard. All right.
That doesn't happen.
That sounds mighty good.
Talk to Scott Lemon for
Yeah.
But United first came back with a flat renewal because the previous years, they like to see a 75% or less loss ratio to cover expenses and this, that, and the other. But they came back with a flat renewal. Of course, we put it out for bid with Blue Cross Blue Shield. We also looked at some self-funded opportunities the city may take advantage of. It's a little bit unique this year in that Blue Cross is trying to keep your business back. United's had your business for a number of years. Blue Cross is trying to be very aggressive and try to keep your business back. So they put a low ball figure on the page, which is about a 15-16% reduction. What I'm going to show you today is United's offer. It's a little bit unique this year, but it's going to save the city a lot of money. But there are things that you need to look at in addition to just the rate. Toward the bottom of the page here, I've talked about the disruption to employees if you make changes. There's certainly benefit differences that we've got to look at. There's drug formularies that are going to be different from one company to the other, so that's going to be disruption to the employees also. There's deductible and out-of-pocket credits that you have to get from one carrier to the other, so that's usually happens with the employees. There's additional benefits that the city has asked United to put back in your plan. They came forward this year, and they're going to put some additional benefits back into your plan. But what they're going to do this year is they're going to offer what we call a premium holiday, so I'm going to get into that in just a second. If you'll turn the page, the other thing I do want to point out, because if I don't mention it, we tend to forget about it. The next page is the profit and loss. The city, for a number of years, probably 8 years or so, has put in a self-funded, what I call a gap plan. You have a $5,000 deductible on your insurance plan for your employees. But the way you structure that is the employee is responsible for the first $1,000, and then the city self-insures the next $4,000, and that's paid through my company, 90 Degree Benefits. So that's a plan that you've had in place for a long time. Over the years, if you look at the top upper right-hand side, you've saved about $314,000 to date at the beginning of this year. You can see the money you're putting in every month, and your budget is about $70 per employee per month to go into this fund to cover that $4,000 gap. We don't charge any administration fee for that whatsoever. Then you see your claims, and the last column is your profit and loss for the month. So through 10 months, you've saved another $43,000 this year. So you add that to the $314,000, you're over $357,000 in savings because of a recommendation we made many years ago. The city has put in place, and it's worked very well for the city, and it continues to work well for the city. So that will continue on. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. The next page, and I'm trying to go through this fast because there's a lot of material here, so please slow me down if you have any questions. The next page was the renewal from United Healthcare. This is what I spoke about. This is what they offered us several weeks back, a flat renewal of the same benefits that you currently had in place. If you flip to the next page, this should be the page where United Healthcare is in the middle and Blue Cross Blue Shield on the right side. Make sure everybody's on the same page. On that page, there are some differences on the benefits there. There's some yellow highlighted areas. There's some yellow highlighted areas that are some benefit differences there. Under your lab testing for the city employees, you have a $15 copay if you go to a designated provider. Most of the employees, because you've had this plan for 3 years, most of your employees already use a designated provider for the lab work, so they're doing their lab work and they have a $15 copay. With Blue Cross, you would have to meet the full $5,000 deductible before any benefit was paid, so that's a big difference. The X-ray and diagnostic, You have that $75 copay with United, and you have to meet the whole $5,000 deductible for any benefits paid under Blue Cross. I'm not going to sit here and read all of them, but your urgent care facility, you have a $50 copay. That would also go towards the deductible under Blue Cross. You have no deductible for your prescription drugs currently. Blue Cross, every employee or their dependents would have to meet $50 first before you got into the copays. So my point is Blue Cross can be cheaper on the rates, but the benefits are not as good. You'd be cutting benefits to your employees if you go to the Blue Cross plan. So in a year that you've had good and the employees have done good this year, I don't think you want to go and start cutting benefits when you're getting the rate reduction from the current carrier. So if you look down at the rates, Blue Cross, United in the red in the middle, you can see it's 504. They proposed leaving it at 504. Blue Cross showed a reduction to 434. If you go down a little bit more, you can see the monthly cost. United was $118,300. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's a monthly cost. Blue Cross is 103, but of course they're cutting a lot of benefits. What we negotiated with United was, we told United, you're going to lose this business because that's too much premium savings for the city not to take if you don't do something else. So as of yesterday, at 11 o'clock, they had a meeting at United. I sent Mindy and them the information yesterday afternoon. That United's going to do what we call a premium holiday. That's in the gray shaded area in the middle columns. What they're doing for a premium holiday is they're going to leave your premiums the same as they currently are, but they're going to give you a whole month premium holiday, which means your open enrollment's for October 1st. They can see what your enrollment is for October 1st, and then in November they're going to give you the entire month free. That's $118,000 estimated that they're going to give you free that you're not going to pay in the month of November. So that's like receiving an 8.33% rate reduction because you're only going to pay 11 months instead of 12 months. So I think that's a very good rate reduction this year that the city will guarantee saving about $118,000, and you're not cutting benefits to the employees. You're not having the disruption to the employees with changing carriers and having different benefits. So we think that is a very good option for the city. It's probably our recommendation that you stay with United, but if you're a large reduction or it's not really a reduction in premium, it's a premium holiday, you will not pay the premiums for the month of November, which is estimated at $118,000. Now, the other thing that the city has asked us for, a couple of people at the city has asked us for, is the cash care card. Several years ago, United offered a cash card which gave the employee, I think, $200 per employee and $500 per family. That they can use for office visits, urgent care visits, those type of things. A couple of years ago when the rates were going up, we used that as a tool to keep the rates lower, and we kind of took that away. We've had several people ask, can we get that back? So we went back to United and said the city wants that back, and we don't want to charge any premium for it. So not only did they give us back the cash card, I'll let Becky speak for just a minute. They gave you 2 or 3 other benefits, which is going to be additional benefits for the employees of the city at no cost to the employees. So I'll let Becky speak real quickly on the additional benefits that United's offering starting October 1st.
So the employees would have the ability to speak to one of the United Healthcare vendors for acute types of services like sinusitis, allergies, that type of thing at no cost. So you don't have to go to the doctor to talk to the licensed physician about those conditions. Almost like if anybody's familiar with teledoc or telemedicine, it's something along those lines. You're speaking to one of their providers, and it doesn't cost the employee anything to do that.
So it's a virtual visit. They can do it on their phone with the doctor and everything else. So it can save them trips to the doctors and taking co-pays to the doctors. So that would be an added benefit to the employees.
The other thing that they're also bringing to you guys is there's certain medications that you can get filled at no cost. They're going to be some insulin medications, epinephrines, like hypoglycemia medicines, albuterols. Those are going to be available at no cost to the employee. And then the last item is they have the wellness program in place. If you use a wellness program, they have a wellness rewards program that they're gonna have to give to your employees. Employee can earn up to $300 a year. If you have a fitness tracker, you simply log into the United Healthcare website, register your fitness tracker, you automatically get a $5 benefit. Over the course of the year, you can spend that. They're going to give it to you like in a debit card, virtual debit card that you can put on your wallet app on your phone. I'm not familiar with a bunch of apps, but you can spend it that way, or you can go to the website and spend it through their website as well.
So these are 3 new benefits that United's adding, which are all 3 good benefits. These are benefits that we would communicate with the employees during open enrollment, which I think is next week.
Yep.
So I think it's a very good additional offering for United, as well as the premium savings that they're going to give you a premium holiday in the month of November, which is around $118,000. Any questions on that information? The other thing that we did look at the last page, or the second to last page that you see on there, United also provided a self-funded quote. We were waiting for Blue Cross to provide a self-funded quote. They did not provide us one. We looked at some other carriers that we work with that would be a little bit cheaper, but the monthly cost on that, I guess it's hard to go get a competitive self-funded quote when you've had a rate reduction of $118,000. That's guaranteed savings versus you trying to take more risk and hope you save money. I think it's a safer bet to take the guaranteed savings of $118 and move on, and you're also getting additional benefits. So I don't think the self-funded is an option this year because the cost or the risk, the cost is based on your claims. We don't know what that is, but the risks to the city would be anywhere from $131,000 to $143,000 per month, which is a lot higher than $118 if you're guaranteed. So that's guaranteed savings. So I guess based on the information we're presenting tonight, our recommendation is just to renew with United, take the $118,000 savings, take advantage of the free benefits that they're going to add for the employees October 1st, and that's the easiest thing to do this year. We also looked at Cigna and Aetna. Both of them looked at the rates and said that we cannot be competitive. So I think you've got a very good offer this year. It's great savings and additional benefits. So I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, John. At the end of the day, the difference between the 2 plans with the premium holiday is only $64,000.
Correct.
It's not bad.
It's not. Well, that sounds like a lot of money when you're talking about giving up that much benefits. That's much cheaper because you're giving up a lot of benefits.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
I want to point out that on the page that John's got that shows 357, I did leave the room to see where we are with our split funding, and we're at 237, and that's because sometimes things get paid out of there. As you all know, over the years we've used it if we had to have it for something. But we are at 237, and the plan would be to put the 118 in there, which will push that on up. So put y'all stronger position for in case you do want to look at self-funding.
Kind of a rainy day fund.
Yeah, thank you for looking at that self-funding, because that's something I think we need to keep an eye on.
We need to keep pursuing that. Because you had a good year this year at 62%. Because reinsurance looks at the current year plus 2 prior years. You've got 2 bad years and 1 good year. If we get to next year and you have 2 good years in a row, that's going to open up the door more for self-funded. So, but at this point, when you have guaranteed savings of 118, put it in your pocket and move on.
Correct. So we just need a motion to accept United Healthcare's renewal.
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
John, y'all did a lot of hard work.
Thanks, John. Yes.
We appreciate the business, and we do work hard for it, but it's for the employees.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to?
I made a motion to accept the renewal of United Healthcare.
Motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Aldermen. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Anything we need to pull from the consent agenda?
Thanks, John.
EE.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda with the exception of items E.
Okay, got a motion by Mr. Impey. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Aldermen. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, item E, I think will be discussed. That's employee.
Yeah.
We'll discuss in that executive session. Okay. Okay, moving on to department reports. Is anybody have anything to pull from the docket of claims? Is there a motion to approve the docket of
Make a
claims?
motion to approve docket of claims. All expenditures are appropriate and authorized by law, and spread summary on the minutes.
Motion by Mr. Impey, Mr. Aldermen, second by Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I'm giving Mike a lot of motions and seconds today.
Always do.
Okay, does anyone have any questions about sewer adjustments? Is there a motion to authorize the sewer adjustments?
I'll make the motion.
Your
Since
name?
you're gonna give it to me
Yeah,
anyway,
you're gonna
I'll
make
go
one.
ahead.
Your name is? Mr. Impey made the motion. Second. Second by Ms. Burgess. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Building Department tree removal appeal, 3002 Government Street. Darrell?
Yes, this one, I had went out and, she had asked to remove a tree in the front yard, tree in the backyard. The backyard I denied, and then approved the one in the front yard due to the location, driveway, various other things. Since then, I have talked to Public Works, and there's actually a sewer line that runs through the backyard. As she said, it's actually damaging, the tree is damaging the sewer line. I do apologize. I was under the impression there was another tree in the front yard, because when I went out last Thursday after receiving complaints, I guess, from the trimming of the other tree, I thought that there was another tree there that had been removed without permission. Come to find out, the limbs and everything, the disturbed ground was from where they were putting a roof on the house at the time. And they had actually pruned the other tree to get the limbs off the roof to keep it damaging the roof, which was off the tree that I had approved to be removed. So
Okay. So your recommendation is to
if it's damaging the sewer line,
allow her to remove the tree?
I would say yes.
Okay. All right, is there a motion on the appeal of the tree removal?
Make a motion to grant the appeal.
Motion by Mr. Impey,
Second.
second by Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. You can remove your tree.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. General public comment. The public is invited to address the board for up to 3 minutes for a maximum period of 30 minutes. Only 2 speakers will be allowed per side of each issue. Please identify yourself clearly at the podium before speaking.
Julia Lawn, 303 Front Beach Drive. Just a couple things I had noticed on the agenda, the thing about the fence on East Beach. I'm not sure what happened there, but I really think the city needs to look at a new fence ordinance. I know I talked with Kenny about this a long time ago. I mean, that's on East Beach, and you have this what looks like a barricade fence, even though it's low, coming all the way down to the street. I don't think we want that on our beaches. So I really think that needs to be addressed.
We agree.
Okay, good. And the other thing I just wanted to ask about, well, I'm not asked, but just say, I had heard something about golf cart rentals at the beach with the new marina, and I hope this isn't going to become commercializing our front beach. We need to leave our front beach for our residents and our kids and families and not turn it into a big commercial area. And the other thing I want to say is I did 2 public requests in the month of July, and I've heard nothing on either one of them. Nothing at all, no response. I did send an email to Patty just reminding her, and she did tell me she would get back with me on Tuesday. I haven't heard anything.
Oh, I emailed you back and told you there was nothing regarding the one. Jennifer said she emailed you on the other because she checked it.
I did not get either one of those emails.
Well, I did.
What were they about?
One of them was on I was wanting to know if there, what, any plans on redoing the city.
City Hall.
City Hall and, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That
on the
one,
marina, any updated plans, just knowing what's going on with the marina, when I heard about the golf cart.
It's hard, Julia, it's hard to keep up with all the public requests you make, so that's
Well,
probably
that's the
what
first two
happened.
I've made in a long time.
So,
But there's a
briefly,
lot of people that feel like there's no transparency. I mean, we found out we're spending, what, almost $500,000 for a cover at Fort Maurepas.
we're not spending anything for that.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
that's not taxpayers'
well, I mean,
dollars. Let me explain to you, there's nothing on the city hall, it's just conversation right now. We have no drawings or anything.
I'll resend that email to you.
And there's nothing new that we've gotten back from the engineers on the marina either.
Okay, that's fine.
No
I mean,
information.
all I needed was an answer. We don't have anything, but I never got anything. Y'all may have my email wrong, because one time before, someone,
You want to email me again so I can check if I have yours correctly?
okay, yeah, all right, thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else like to address the board?
My name's Owen White. I live at 110 Shearwater Drive in Ocean Springs. Just a little bit of a concern with Shearwater Drive. I know the speed limit on that road is 25 miles an hour. It is habitually ignored. As you know, there are no sidewalks, no bike trails on that street, so most of the, or all of the foot traffic or bike traffic is actually on Shearwater Drive, and there are a lot of blind curves. I personally myself witnessed almost several, 2 to 3 accidents where somebody coming around the curve going 40, 50 miles an hour, almost hitting somebody, slamming on the brakes. I know June lives across the street. The guy came around the corner from East Beach, didn't make the corner, came into her front yard, took out her mailbox and her flagpole, and that's happened twice, according to her. That's all she said about that. But I just want to bring an awareness that there's a danger there, and there's no, a lot of cars pass. If somebody is fortunately going the speed limit, the car behind them will usually pass them, and those are blind curves, and there's no double stripe on the road that's really visible to denote that as a no passing zone. Golf carts will usually move out of the way, but cars don't, and they'll pass. And I know last week a car was to pass going toward East Beach, and a car coming from East Beach almost had them head on, and they came around the corner right at their foot of Pine Drive. I just wanted to bring an awareness of the traffic situation there, and maybe we need to enforce the speed limits a little bit more in that area.
Yeah, I walk that street every now and then. I agree with you there.
Okay. I just want to, I work from home, so I've been in my office spaces, Shearwater, so I get the unique perspective of watching the traffic flow, and sometimes I'm amazed at the speed that some people drive. Even golf carts, some of the speeds they go are excessive. Just kids, it amazes me. Just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Owen.
Thanks. Anyone else would like to address the board? Okay. We're moving on to Mayor and Alderman's forum. Alderman Altamont. Oh.
What?
Yeah, you're not listed on the list here.
Sorry.
Jennifer, you have anything? But you're not listed on the list.
I don't guess I don't have anything.
Hey, Alan.
I thought when I read it, we might be going in alphabetical order, but we're not doing that either. So.
Yes, nothing, keep that.
278 Holcomb. When are we going to get that formed up and maybe some concrete poured?
I don't know, they're working at Fort Bayou right now, so it's probably gonna be back on this side next week. Just curious.
That's it.
Okay. Bobby, got anything?
I'm good. I'm good, Mayor.
Mr. Gloria, so you said you'd have some information for me this meeting on Tremont.
Yeah, Scott and staff measured the playground, and I'm trying to think the recreational company, I call it Pelican. They're supposed to give me some information. I thought it was going to be today, but I'll have it to you tomorrow with those prices.
Okay.
Tomorrow, and I apologize I don't have it tonight, but try hard to get it for you.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay, I've got a letter I need to read to y'all, dated August 14th, 2023. It's, please accept this letter as my formal notification of my intent to retire after 39 years in law enforcement. It is time for new adventures. My last day will be Friday, September 29th, 2023. I truly appreciate having worked with each of you and will always be available to each of you for any assistance that I can provide in the future. Thank you, Police Chief Mark Dunstan. Being a new mayor and coming in and not having a lot of knowledge about public safety and so forth, I say it was a great asset to have Mark serve with me for the 2 years he's been the mayor. During that time, I think we've created a bond and some true friendship that'll be cherished and I'm sure carried on. Personally, I want to thank you for your service to the city. 39 years is a long time, and I did tell Mark from now on, he's going to be honing that game. I'm getting strokes every time. But anyway, I need a motion to accept Chief Dunstan's retirement.
I'll regretfully make the motion. I was going to say the same thing. I'll second it. Chief, it was an honor serving with you when I wore the uniform a few years ago. More than a few years ago. Yeah, both of us.
Motion by Mr. Blackman, second by Mr. Impey. Any other comments?
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, I appreciate everything, Mark. You really were really an asset.
Yeah, congratulations on your retirement.
Congratulations on your retirement.
I look forward to the time I can join you in retirement. 7 strokes, Chief. That's all I'm doing. 7 strokes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Lemire as interim chief.
Got a motion by Mr. Impey.
I second that motion.
Second by Mr. Cox. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
The chief has already passed him his chair.
That means he gets a nice car now?
In another 6 weeks, huh? We have personnel items that we need to go into. I need a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Impey, second by Mr. Wade. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Oh, yeah, that public hearing.
Yeah, I hate to see you go. Tell you what. I don't know. Thank y'all. Have a good one.
You can end that.
Thursday night. Here at 6 o'clock.
It's still on.
I'm going to New Orleans today, and I would say I would be
Back at 6, stop by.
back at 6.
They asked me if I could start here. Okay. I've got to start making them see.
We're going to the Armed Forces Museum, and I want to go there.
There, I knew it was that.
I'd like to get things out there at the park, like I said, try to get this changed. And, I'd like for you to show me, your thoughts on everything.
All right.
Just like that.
Yeah.
It is.
Excellent.
It is. What's up there, Hoss?
All right, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you might want to.
I had relatives who lived in houses. You can go. It's crazy. It was real.
No, I